Hello aspirants, welcome to Current Affairs for Beginners session by La Excellence, and this session will help beginners in reading the Hindu newspaper. Let me give you answers for yesterday's questions. The first question with reference to Gaganyaan, which of the following statements are correct? The first statement is ISRO successfully launched the first developmental flight of LVM-3 which carried the GSAT-19 satellite into space. And the second statement is LVM-3 launch vehicle Mark 3 is the latest version of GSLV Mark 3 and Gaganyaan is the second mission to moon. The first statement is correct. This launch vehicle Mark 3 is also known as GSLV Mark 3 is a launch vehicle, and launch vehicle you'll be placing a satellite. This launch vehicle will launch this satellite into space, whether it may be low Earth orbit or high Earth orbit or medium Earth orbit, based on the type of the satellite and type of the launch vehicle. Here, this launch vehicle LVM-3 or GSLV Mark 3 launches this GSAT-19 satellite into the space. So the first statement is correct. But LVM-3 is the latest version of GSLV Mark 3 is wrong, because both LVM-3 and GSLV Mark 3 are the same. The other name of this LVM-3 is GSLV Mark 3. So this statement is wrong. This is not the latest version. This is also known as GSLV Mark 3, may be the correct statement. And the third statement is Gaganyaan is India's second mission to moon. This is not Gaganyaan. This is Chandrayaan 2. This is the second mission to moon. So this is also wrong statement. And in question they have asked about correct statements. So the correct statement is one only and the option is A. With reference to Masala bonds, which of the following statements are correct? Masala bonds are sold only to offshore investors. Correct statement. By Indian corporate. Correct. And for raising money from overseas investors. See, these Masala bonds are sold to foreigners or offshore investors, we call, by Indian companies to raise money from these people. This is the simplified version of this statement, and this statement is correct. And the second statement is Masala bonds helps in internalization of the rupee. These are the bonds. See, Indian companies will send bonds, but these are rupee denominated bonds. And through this we can say this bonds will help in the internalization of the rupee. And thus it expands the Indian bond market. This is also correct statement. And the third statement is Masala bonds issued to overseas buyers. It is aimed at boosting investments into India's infrastructure sector. This is also correct statement. So 3 are the correct. And the question asked is select the correct answer. So the correct answer is C, 1, 2 and 3. These are the topics covered under today's core. The first topic is tariffs on non-essential imports. Here we have to see what is a tariff. And this topic comes under GS paper 3, Indian economy. Tariffs are nothing but taxes that are imposed on imported goods and services. See, if there are two countries, country A and country B, let's say, if this country B is sending the goods and services for trade to the country A, then we call these goods and services are this country is exporting. That is, the B is exporting goods and services, whereas these goods and services coming into the country A we call as imports. And what is the problem with this imports to this country? If this country B is exporting more and more goods and services, then the domestic companies, that is the companies that are located in the country A, may feel or suffer with this more and more imports by other countries. So what this country A will do? This will import some taxes on the goods that is sending by the country B. And this taxes we call as tariffs. That means tariffs are the taxes that is levied on the imported goods to encourage the domestic investors or to restrict the trade of other countries. Panel approves nutrition norms. Here you have to see two words. The first one is severe acute malnutrition, what it is, and the second one is National Technical Board on Nutrition. And this topic comes under GS paper 2, social justice. In that you have issues related to hunger. This is the subtopic. Let us see what is this severe acute malnutrition. As per World Health Organization, this is defined as very low weight for height. If a baby or a person with a required height and a very low weight, then we call that person is suffering from severe acute malnutrition. And why this is important? Because 35% of deaths of the children who are under 5 years of age is because of these malnutrition problems. So if you can reduce these, then this child mortality, death of the children, and they can also improve maternal health. And the second one is this National Technical Board on Nutrition. As the name suggests, it has been constituted to give technical recommendations on the policy related issues on nutrition. That is, if government is taking any policies that is related to nutrition, to give technical recommendations. What are the technical problems involved in it? How to solve it? Like that, the technical recommendations will be given by this body to the government, and this will advise the states and union territories on the preventive measures and management of this severe acute malnutrition. How to manage this or how to prevent this, the measures it will advise to the state and central government. Long road ahead. In this, we have to discuss what is this Ayushman Bharat scheme. And this topic comes under GS paper 2, social justice. We have schemes and implementation of schemes and problems. What is this Ayushman Bharat scheme? This is a health protection scheme. And this Ayushman Bharat scheme will provide free treatment at the point of delivery, that is at hospitals, to 40% of the people of India based on the socio-economic census data. That is, socially who are backward, economically who are backward, based on that data, they'll take first 40% of the people and they'll provide free treatment to these people. And this is the first step to the universal health coverage. And under this scheme, Central has announced that is 40% people means around 10 crore people which are identified to this socio-economic caste census data. How they will provide this healthcare benefits? See here, under this Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, they will provide a cover of 5 lakh rupee per family per year for secondary and tertiary care hospitals. And this Ayushman Bharat has two components. First one, they are creating 1,50,000 health and wellness centers for bringing primary health care. And for secondary and tertiary, they are providing this 5 lakh rupee. In that way, they have planned to provide primary, secondary and tertiary care to the poor and vulnerable families. Manufacturing nationalism. And this topic comes under GS paper 2, international relations. And in this topic, you should know about what is surgical strike and what is this 1971 Indo-Pak War of 1971 surgical strike. And you have to know about Khajuraho temples. Here it was mentioned Chandela kings and Khajuraho temples. Khajuraho temples you should know. And here there is mention of Ashokan Mauryan rock edicts. So let us see these two from art and culture perspective and these two from IR perspective. one by one. The first one is surgical strike. What is meant by this surgical strike? This is a military attack which results in damage to a intended military target. See, so many times you might have listened about this surgical strikes. Pakistan has conducted surgical strikes, or India has conducted surgical strikes, and you might have listened last year about this Uri attack. This is a surgical strike. What is surgical strike? So suppose Pakistan has conducted a surgical strike, means Pakistan with one military team will attack the military team that is stationed at a place in India. They'll come either by air or by land. They will attack that particular team and they'll go back. And here collateral damage like this camp, apart from this, the missions in this or the guns, artillery, anything will be, the damage will be less or no damage. That is, in this surgical strike there will be minimum collateral damage to the surrounding structures or vehicles or buildings. Only they'll target that military team and they'll go back. And the next one is, what is this Indo-Pakistan War 1971? See, during 1971, after independence in 1947, this Pakistan got independence and it was divided into West Pakistan and East Pakistan. Now this is as Bangladesh we call. Before 1971, up to 1971, this is West Pakistan and East Pakistan. And in 1971, this around 1970s, there was elections to this Pakistan. And the person from this East Pakistan is mostly here Bengalis are dominant and here Punjabis are dominant. And the person from this Bengali got won as a president. But these people not accepted. And so there was a war. And then India helped these people, East Pakistanis, and this was turned as Indo-Pakistan War 1971 or Bangladesh Liberation War. And in this battle, India won and Bangladesh got the independence through this war. And we also have to know what is this Khajuraho temples and Ashokan rock edicts. See, you might have known about this Kalinga war. This was created a lot of damage and lot of deaths. After this war, Ashoka changed and he started propagating Dharma. He have propagated one way is through this inscriptions. They might be rock edicts, that is written on rocks, or they might be pillar edicts on pillars. These rock edicts again divided into major rock edicts and minor rock edicts. And these rock edicts or inscriptions, more than the religious, they consist about moral duties of the people, how they have to conduct their life and how they have to behave and how they have to work to achieve their end. Like this, all the moral duties were written on these edicts. And there are 14 major rock edicts and 15 minor rock edicts that are located along with India in Afghanistan also. And the next one we have to discuss is Khajuraho temples. These Khajuraho temples are Hindu and Jain temples in Madhya Pradesh. These are located in Madhya Pradesh and these were built by Chandela dynasty. You'll be reading this in history, medieval history. These Chandelas are around 950 AD to 1050 AD. They were present around this period in medieval history and they constructed these Khajuraho temples, and in these temples mostly these are Hindu and Jain temples, and these are recognized as UNESCO World Heritage Site. And in temple architecture, you might have read about 3 types of temples. Dravidian temples means these are mostly in South India and these were called as Dravidian style of architecture. And in North India, you will be calling as Nagara type of architecture. And Both styles mixed we call as Vesara style, and this Khajuraho comes under Nagara style. These are made up of sandstone, and the largest temple at the Khajuraho is the Kandarya Mahadeva temple. And the next article is an indefensible ordinance. This comes under GS paper 2 Indian polity, and in this you have to learn about triple talaq, instant triple talaq, what is ordinance, and some articles like article 13, 19, 21, 123 and 368. Firstly, triple talaq is an Islamic practice in which a person will give divorce with this triple talaq to the woman, and in this there are three forms, and one among them is instantaneous triple talaq or talaq-e-biddat. In this, instantly, by uttering the words 3 times talaq, 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 this person will give divorce to the woman, and Supreme Court held this as unconstitutional, and Supreme Court also said to make this as a law. For that, it was introduced in Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha but not passed it, and so they want to go through ordinance route to pass this law. What is this ordinance? This is President power of law making. When Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha is not there in the session, then President can take this law making power through this ordinance. He can make a law, but this law will exist for some time. And in the last video we have discussed what is an ordinance and when it will be promulgated and what is the time for this ordinance and when it have to introduced in the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. All this we have introduced, and after that we have to read in this article about article 13. This is definition of law, and article 19, this is freedom, right to freedom, and article 21 is right to life and personal liberty, and article 123 is about ordinance, and this 368 is about amendment to the constitution. And try reading these articles in brief and also about this ordinance. The power of a nudge. In this we have to see from economy GS paper 3 perspective, what is this organization of economic and cooperation development, and from GS paper 2 social justice we have a scheme here, Disha, and we also have to see this Disha program. First let me say about OECD. See, after Second World War, these European countries' economy fell drastically. So to recover that, Marshall Plan was introduced, and US has helped in funding, and to recover these European countries, US has helped them with this organization for European Economic Cooperation. But later in 1961, this was formed in 1948 to implement this Marshall Plan. But in 1961, this OEEC was changed as OECD, Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development. And in this, mostly this highly developed countries will be there with high human development index. And what is this? This is an intergovernmental economic organization which deals with economic progress and world trade. And the second one is Disha. The Union government has constituted District Development Coordination and Monetary Committee for effective development and coordination of central government's program. See, there will be one remark from the start of the programs, that is from independence to now. What? The program plan is good, but the implementation is failure. So to monitor the implementation and to develop or to coordinate with this central government programs, this Disha, the District Development Coordination and Monitoring Committee, was established by the union government. And under this Disha, it will monitor the implementation of 28 schemes and programs of Union Ministry of Rural Development and other ministers. And the main purpose of this Disha was to coordinate with the central government, state government and local governments. Rethinking disaster management. This topic comes under GS paper 3, environmental and ecology. And in this topic, two words is so important, and the first one is carbon footprint and the second one is International Organization ADB. What is this carbon footprint? It means the total emissions caused by an individual or any event or any organization or any product. They will express this pollution or emission by a person in carbon dioxide equivalent, and they call as carbon footprint. That is, if there is any event, for example any function, or if there is any organization, this will release some waste, or with the works of these events or organizations some environmental pollution may occur, and this they will count in terms of carbon dioxide release, and we call that as carbon footprint. And the second one is ADB, Asian Development Bank. This is a regional development bank that was established in 1946 to promote social and economic development in the country, and this was modeled similar to the World Bank. And in this bank they will be having weighted voting rates. What is meant by this weighted voting rates is, see, in this bank there will be member countries. See, if a member country has invested some capital, and according to that capital that member country will be having weighting, that is voting weight. If the capital invested is less, it will be having less voting, and if the capital invested is more, they will be having more weighted, that is more voting rights. Supreme Court to rule on barring accused in heinous crimes for polls. This topic also comes under GS paper 2, Indian polity and related to elections. Here for prelims perspective, you have to remember only one point. According to Representation of People's Act, here you can see only convicted lawmakers are disqualified, but not those who are facing charges. That is, see, if a politician is charged with some crime, that he have been in some money laundering case or he have been in some criminal case, then he was not barred from election. If this is proved and he was proved as a convict, only he will be disqualified for elections. Remember this point only for prelims perspective. Amazon ARM backs data localization. Here you should know what is this data localization, and this comes under maybe right to privacy, paper 2 of polity or paper 3 science and tech. What is this data localization? Means nation's citizen or a resident data should be collected, processed and stored inside the country. That is, data of a person should be stored locally in the country. What is meant by this data? Whether you'll be giving some information about you, like for Aadhaar cards you are giving, PAN card, or for SIMs, any data. For suppose you are giving for a mobile company your data, or for any services you are giving. Sometimes in supermarkets also you give your mobile numbers, all these. The data related to a person, that is citizen or resident, should be stored, collected and processed according through any law in the country. You call this as data localization, and for that Center is drafting this Personal Data Protection Bill 2018. India's 100th airport opens in Sikkim. Here you have to see what is the scheme UDAN. UDAN means Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagarik. This is a regional connectivity scheme. That is, it will connect or it will improve the aviation sector. And this scheme is vital component of this National Civil Aviation Policy 2016. And what is the aim of this policy? To provide connectivity of unserved and underserved airports. That is, some airports in India are not functioning at all, and some are functioning but with less utilities. So to develop these airports so that they can provide regional connectivity through air. This is the aim of this UDAN scheme. Try to answer these questions, and the first question is about National Health Protection Scheme, and the second question is about this Khajuraho temples, and you can access our core video notes at www.likes.in/CivilsPrep. Thank you.